Hey, it's Amber, and welcome to Season 3 of Politics But Make It Fashion. Come chat with me. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Politics But Make It Fashion. Happy Monday. Today is Memorial Day, and I have the honor of being a part of a wonderful American Legion in Gouldsboro, Pennsylvania, Post 274. I've served as commander for the past 2 years, so it was such a nice change of scenery for me to be able to actually watch the parade this year instead of walking in it, which was really, really nice. Today has also been such a conflicting day for me because as we're celebrating veterans, my brothers and sisters who have lost their lives, also my brothers and sisters who have taken their own lives after service. You know, this day is for you, and I salute you, and we are all saluting you. But at the same time, we have people being blown up in Rafah. Israel struck Rafah, and they basically have been dropping bombs on tents since last night, and it's one of those things where you feel so torn because on one hand, you're celebrating your country, you're celebrating the people who gave their lives for your country. And on the other hand, I'm literally watching a beheaded baby being held because it was decapitated by a bomb that landed on its tent in the safe zone. And I don't know how I feel about that, guys. So we'll get into it. Israel's Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, also known as a war criminal, called the deadly Israeli airstrike on the camp of displaced people in Rafah a tragic mistake, allegedly. So right now there's over 50 people who have been killed and over 200 who have been wounded during Sunday's airstrike, according to Gaza authorities. The Israel military claimed it struck a Hamas compound in that area. Apparently, two senior officials from the militant group Hamas were killed, while I guess the other, 40 plus people were just regular civilians and children. The Qatari government said Israel's strike on the displacement camp could hinder ongoing negotiations because they're still aiming for the release of hostages. And they're still in the process of trying to negotiate a ceasefire in Gaza. So talks between Israel and Hamas were set to resume on Tuesday. And if you guys get the chance, please donate. There's so many GoFundMes going around for Gazan families and orphans. And people who are desperately trying to get out of that area. So definitely, if you can, please give. And know what? There's things that you can do if you don't have the money to give. You can support them. You can repost things. You can share things. You can share articles and just basically tell people what is going on. It's so sad and so tragic. And then we're sitting here watching this happen right in front of our eyes. And I truly believe that's one of the reasons why our government is so against TikTok, because I'm sitting here watching videos of people who are in Gaza, of families who are in the area, of people who are dying. That's how I saw the decapitated child, the baby, being held by its family member because it was in a tent. It wasn't in a bomb shelter. It was in a tent because the Israeli government told these people to go to this area because it would be safe. And it wasn't safe. And we have blood on our hands as Americans because we're giving them billions of dollars and we're giving them weapons and arms. And they're finding our missile shells there. Those are being posted all over online as well. You can see that they were clearly made in America. They clearly have American, stenciling on them. And, that's coming from us. That's coming from us. So and I know that's probably really depressing, and I'm really sorry. it's just so sad because today is a day of mourning, but it's also a day of celebrating the things that American veterans have done. And at the same time this is going on, we have people just being killed by our weaponry. So, in some other news, kind of still coming from the Middle East, Iran's president is dead, and he was in a helicopter accident. I know that I had kind of mentioned it before, but they came out and spoke about it. So I'm not sure who's going to be replacing him, but we will definitely keep you updated. In the U.S., there has been about 607 tornadoes this year. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to that as well. It's been really crazy seeing some of the firsthand accounts. This is already over 100 tornadoes over the record for right now, and that's due to climate change. So if we think that we're not affecting our climate, if we think that we're not doing any of those things, we are. Because you can clearly see that our weather pattern is a disaster and that there are so many insane once-in-a-lifetime weather events that are currently happening right now. So, Sean Kingston, the singer who sang, "You're way too beautiful, girl." Well, y'all, that man has been scamming people with his mother. So they were both arrested for fraud and the feds raided his house. So allegedly, he has been telling everybody that him and Justin Bieber are best friends. And that is how he's been able to get like special favors, equipment for his house, furniture, like trips, all kinds of stuff. And it's believed that he's like scammed thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, which is really, really crazy. So that is one of these songs that I really like to sing for karaoke. So that story stuck out to me because I was like, oh my God, he seemed like not a scammer, right? He has this baby face and still has it. And it's just really, really crazy. There was a former Red Sox pitcher named Austin Maddox, and he was arrested as part of an underage sex sting operation. So that is crazy. Go Phils. But that story is so wild, and there's so many rings that are being broken up right now, which is really amazing. And I'm glad that people are focusing on the victims of these crimes, are focusing on sex trafficking, and it seems like people are putting in work to try to bust up some of these rings. But keep in mind, it's not the scary boogeyman. It's not this stranger on the street. Normally, it's people that seem like regular, smuggler people that are doing these things to children. Well, in Christian news, okay, because y'all know I love to be on the church's neck. There is a marriage that is between a bishop named Dwight Reed. I believe he has some relation to another pastor who is more famous, and his child wife named Jordan Reed, and this is of the Christ Apostolic, I'm sorry, it's been a while. Christ Apostolic Temple. So Dwight is 63 years old and Jordan is 19. So you cannot convince me that they just started speaking to each other the second that she turned 18 or 19. It's gross. If you see pictures of them, it's gross. I don't know what the church has come out to say, but people are really up in arms in it. And you know what? They should be, because you're nasty. And you're supposed to be set apart, and that's not being set apart. I hope the girl's okay. I don't know if you guys have been following that story about the woman whose name is Micah. Her last name is leaving me right now. But she recently died, and there's a big investigation going on because they're talking about whether her husband did it because he was having an affairs or whatever. But I wasn't gonna focus on that. What I wanted to focus on with that story is the fact that that pastor, he groomed her as well because she first went to his youth group when she was 14, 15 years old. And then the pastor started having an affair with her, an affair, quote unquote, rape, because she was a child, and he was a grown ass man. And he ended up marrying her, and now she turned up dead. And allegedly he was abusive, but there's a lot of grooming that goes on. And you know, when I think back to the story about the Red Sox picture, you know, like I said, it's not going to be these people who are strangers who are like super scary looking or whatever. It's gross people who are in the church marrying 19-year-olds as a pastor. And then there's pastors of megachurches who are getting into statutory situations with 14-year-olds because they're the youth group leader. It's just not good. So I know that was a lot for y'all to digest because everything is terrible, but we will be right back. Welcome back. So I was watching my local news here, and they had done a segment talking about that it was bikini season, and they were asking people kind of if they knew what the history of the bikini was. They didn't actually get to that in the segment, but I thought it was really interesting. So, of course, I went and did some research and looked it up, and I thought it was just something interesting that I could share with you guys. So, a French automotive engineer named Louis Riard introduced a design he named the bikini, adopting the name from the Bikini Atoll in the Pacific Island, which was the colonial name the Germans gave the atoll borrowed from Marshallese. The original name was Bikini with a P. So, before this, archaeologists around 56,000 BC in Anatolia depicts of a mother goddess in two leopard print, two-piece leotards and a costume that looks like today's bikini. The two-piece swimsuit can be tracked back to the Greco-Roman world, where bikini-like garments were worn by women athletes, and they're depicted on urns, painting, and these are painting back to 14,000 BC. The modern bikini swimsuit was introduced, like I said, by a French designer, and they first public test of the nuclear bomb had taken place 4 days before the new Bikini Atoll was released. So it was a time, guys. It was a time. So even back then, there was still a lot of drama around bikinis. I know right now, the controversy around bikinis is women wearing thong bikinis in areas where kids are. So you go to Dorney Park and you're in the Wildwater Kingdom and people have on thongs, or you're at your neighborhood pool and people are wearing thong bikinis. What do you guys think about that? Do you feel like that's appropriate or not appropriate? I'm going to put a poll in the show notes and you guys let me know. So the original bikini design was banned from beaches and other public places in 1949. France then banned the bikini from being worn on its coastlines at the same time. Germany banned the bikini from being used and worn in public pool areas until the 1970s. There were some communist groups who condemned the bikini and called it a capitalist decadence. So as we know, obviously the bikini is allowed, and even though it was banned, it became really, really popular in the 70s. And I'm sure some of you has probably seen the pictures of women being ticketed for having bikinis on the beach because they were still wearing them. They didn't care. I just thought that was super interesting. I love the history of fashion and clothing, and learning where we come from, learning the people who designed things and where the names come from, because I did not know that about the bikini. So I would like to wish all of you a wonderful end to your Memorial Day weekend. I hope that, people got rest and were able to catch up. And if you had a 4-day weekend, yes, I hope you had a chance to relax And make sure that you guys give us a like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow us on TikTok at Politics But Make It Fashion, on Facebook at Politics But Make It Fashion, and we are on Instagram at Politics But Make It Fashion 1, and we will chat soon.